presentations before dinner to accommodate Jimbo and his family, as he's not allowed to stay in a big crowd for a long time due to some his obvious condition. At this time, I'd like to ask Ken Owen and Carol Cahill to come up for our honoree inductee, Jimbo Cahill. So briefly, I'm going to just start and hand it over. Jim started attending practices and games in 1982 when his brother Mike started coaching football under Coach Owen. He was a constant present at most football, basketball, and baseball games in his early years. Then it just evolved to him attending most games home or away. At some point, Jimbo started addressing the football team on Thursdays before the Friday night game. He would do his research on the opposing team's mascot and give his speech. Then he got a little older and he just head up to all of the games from Howard Street on his own, and then he'd look for the Phelps and drive him home after the game. He'd just say, Mr. Krause, do you know what Mr. Phelps is? How about Mrs. Phelps? He'd say, they're right over there waiting for you, Jimbo. He just loves the Bulldogs and he's the #1 fan. And then COVID gave us Jimbo's Friday Funnies. And now for more on Jimbo, I'd like to turn it over to Coach Owen and his sister Carol to honor him.
As you know, as Krause alluded to, Jim used to give us, our weekly pep talk on a day before the game. And I don't know how long it continued or when he started. One day I drove home and your dad actually gave me all this information the first day there, how many years this continued, and hundreds and hundreds of games. I'm going to give you his famous speech that I'll always remember in a second. But one day I got caught up in, I think, coaching and what we had to do to win, and maybe the boys weren't performing up to par that day. And so Jim, of course, standing behind me, waiting for his opportunity to address the troops. So me and my thick-headedness kind of brushed him off, and I wasn't too happy with our performance, as I said, and sent the boys out of there in a hurry. Well, Roz reminded me that there are some things that are a little bit more important than worrying about a win and a loss. And Jim was standing beside me, still waiting for his turn to talk to the kids. We ended up, thanks to Graz, calling all the boys back, and he continued on from there. Now, I'm not sure, Jim, but the famous speech that I will always remember, if that was the day, we were playing Mashpee, of course. And I said, Jim, you're on. So he steps up in front, everybody's kneeled down in front of him, awaiting his words of wisdom. And he simply said, his speech that day was, mash those peas.
I'm not usually at a loss for words, but I wrote something down just in case. James Matthew Cahill was born the youngest child in a family of 7 children. Growing up in Rockland, all the Cahill children went to Rockland schools. While Jimmy's educational path took him out of Rockland's junior high over to Cardinal Cushing School in Hanover, his love for Rockland sports continued. Following his graduation, Jimmy began to work at Stop and Shop. Still, he could be seen walking from his home on Howard Street to all kinds of games and practices around RHS. In addition, under the supervision of Coach Ken Owen, Jimmy began the tradition of giving pre-game motivational speeches to the football team after Thursday's football practices. He'd always highlight the mascot of the opposing team and create just the right speech to get the players' spirits pumped up. He doesn't give the speeches anymore, but he is still intent on knowing the mascot every game. He spent quite a bit of time the other night searching the internet for the mascot of the Blackstone Valley Tech School. Then he came up with this gem. Come on, Bulldogs, send the beavers back to the pond. Which they did. The RHS sporting community has always been very, very good to Jimmy, inviting him to athletic banquets through the years. I remember one time many years ago, I just happened to be at my parents' house when my dad brought Jimmy home from one of the banquets. Jimmy came running up the steps, across the porch, into the house, holding an RHS letter, R, high in the air. I got one, he said. My brothers all have them, and now I have one too. You see, Jimmy and I have 3 brothers who were all RHS Bulldogs and did quite well on and off the field. Well, Jimmy, now you have something that none of our brothers have. You have a place in the RHS Athletic Hall of Fame.
Oh my goodness. This is the best day of my life. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. Being in the Rockland Hall of Fame is one of the best things I'll never forget. I'm telling you guys, I'm so emotional. I feel like I'm in the Hall of Fame now.